Hello, this is Todd Luck, and this is a review of Groo meets Tarzan? Huh? And so, yes, this is a real comic book. This is the first issue in a 4-issue miniseries published by Dark Horse Comics. It is drawn by Thomas Yeates, who, in my opinion, is the definitive modern Tarzan artist, and Groo creator Sergio Aragones, and they both draw the cover. Sergio draws, this part at the bottom with Groo, and Groo looks very Groo. It looks great. And Thomas Yeates does this beautiful rendering of this jungle and this rendition of Tarzan, which at first I thought was kind of an odd choice because he's looking down. We don't get a really good look at his face or anything. But then I kind of noticed he really is blending into this tree. He looks like he's an extension of the tree, and he looks like he's literally a part of the jungle, like he is the jungle. And, that's emphasized by Groo not even noticing that he's there. And so, when you kind of look at it like that, like all of this is Tarzan, that he is part of the jungle, it's actually a really clever cover, and I do like it. And the artistic collaboration continues on the inside with both of them drawing pages on the interior, and this is one of Sergio's. This begins the comic book with Sergio himself at a convention, and just look at all the detail, all the work that went into this, all the different characters. I mean, it's just wonderful. And he does this truly, truly epic double page spread. I mean, look at all of this. This is amazing. When was the last time you saw an artist put this much work into a double page spread? And Sergio does not skimp when he gets to the Groo parts. They are just as detailed as his parts drawing himself at the convention. And of course, the great Thomas Yeates draws the Tarzan pages, which look wonderful. The rendering of both the animals, the jungle, and Tarzan look just great. And so this is really solid rendering. It reminds me of a Tarzan newspaper strip or something like that, a really good one. It's not quite as realistic as what I'm used to from Yeates. It's a little sketchier, and he's not like painted it or anything like that like I'm used to, but I think that's probably so it'll blend in with Groo when we get later in the series and we start doing panels like this where they're both on the panel at the same time. And so in this first issue, Tarzan and Groo are in completely separate scenes, but when we get later into the miniseries, they're going to be on the same panel at the same time. And, Tarzan and, the backgrounds associated with him will be done by Yeates, and then, the Groo stuff will be done by Sergio. And so that is awesome to look at. They actually did a crossover like this with Conan, and Thomas Yeates actually drew the Conan parts, and I looked up the previews for it, and that comic was utterly beautiful. And so that's why I picked this one up. And so I expect the same thing here. It's kind of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but with comic books. You have somebody drawn in a comic book style and then somebody drawn in cartoony style. And it just looks really cool. And there's just something really cool about the idea of two comic artists exchanging pages and, one comic artist drawing their character and the other comic artist putting in theirs. And just kind of the purity of that, of, keeping Tarzan, pure Tarzan, and Groo, pure Groo, and still having them in the same panels and same scenes. I mean, it's just such a unique concept that I don't know how many times this has ever been done outside of Groo meets Conan or Groo meets Tarzan. But it's definitely worth picking up for the art. And so it's written by Sergio and Mark Evanier, who are the normal writing team of Groo. And so Mark is actually a really brilliant writer. He wrote the animated series Garfield and Friends back in, I think it was the 90s. But if you ever get a chance to watch that animated series, do so. It is brilliant and funny. The humor here is a little more hit and miss to me. I thought the first 3 pages at the convention were incredibly funny, and then after that, a little less so. Especially the Groo scenes. The humor just didn't click with me. Groo is so stupid that he makes the guys from Dumb and Dumber look like brain surgeons. It's just not really my cup of tea on the humor, but that's just the first issue. I mean, this is a series called Groo Meets Tarzan, and they haven't met yet. So this is kind of a build up to a punchline we're going to get probably next issue, starting next issue. You know, we'll see the characters interact. At least I think, you know, we'll have them run into each other, considering it is, you know, it's on the cover. So I can't really recommend this first part for the story, though that may get a lot better later. But I can definitely recommend it just for the artwork and just for the uniqueness of this project. And honestly, if you want to support either of these characters, I mean, we haven't had hardly any Tarzan comics in the last 21 years. So, you know, if you want to see more Tarzan comics, you need to support the ones that are out there. However, that is not the only Tarzan-related comic currently in the works. There is a Kickstarter that has been fully funded for a Jane Porter comic. This is Tarzan's wife, Jane, of course, and this will be the first comic produced by Edgar Rice Burroughs Incorporated, and it is fully funded. It will ship in November, and you still have a chance to back this and get this piece of history, because this is Jane's first ever solo comic book adventure. They were generous enough to give me a PDF preview of it, and I reviewed it, and it's wonderful, and I highly recommend backing this. And like I said, if you want to check out my video review of the comic, feel free. And there's other Burroughs comics out there now too. American Mythology does a whole line of Burroughs comics on some of his lesser known works. And if you're familiar with Tarzan, you may remember the novel where he visits the Earth's core. And so Plustar at the Earth's core does have a series of miniseries. And the next one is in the works, and you can pre-order that right now. And they're also putting out comics of Carson of Venus, Moon Maid, Land That Time Forgot, Monster Men, and the new one that they're coming out with is Beyond the Furthest Star, and that was supposed to ship this week, but it got pushed back to the end of August. So I'm super looking forward to that. They're American Mythology's Burroughs comics have been super high quality. I love them to death. And of course, if you're a fan of the Barsoom stuff, Dynamite is putting out Dija Torres comics. And so if you're interested in older Tarzan comics, I've done a reading recommendation video that you might want to check out for Tarzan comics. And if you're interested in Groo, he's in trade paperback. He's available in back issues and on Comixology. Dark Horse has been publishing him for quite a while. And so I'm not sure if I'll do a review of every single issue of this, because I found that issue by issue reviews can get redundant because, you know, it's serialized storytelling. Usually they're very similar. So I'm probably just going to come back at the end when I get all 4 issues and just tell you if it was worth it or not. But if something really changes, you know, next issue or in issue 3, I might, you know, do a review and just be like, wow, this series is so different than what I thought it was, or something like that. But otherwise, I definitely will be doing a overall review when the series ends. All right, that's it. Like and subscribe for more videos. And until next time, beware of cartoon characters who wander into the jungle looking for cheese dip. See ya.